camera guy.
We're live, by the way, folks.
Oh, committed to love right off the bat, and safe sex never tasted so good.
It's a guy thing, #1 podcast, people. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We got multiple personalities right now going on. We got Mrs. Boner from Boca from 1990, the naughty, sexy cookbook lady. Then we got the hospice lady book. Of course, we don't have that one. Then we got Committed to Love, which is my story about my husband's passing from HIV and my incredible 25-year marriage to this man I adored. And one day this shall be the greatest movie and love story ever told and win more Academy Awards than The English Patient.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I tell you, you got a lot to
You're
say.
fiery, and that's what I love about you, Susan. You got fire in you.
I am pissed
I
about
love
this.
I love it.
Fire and brimstone, but truly.
It just comes to you.
I love it. I love the cameras. I love the live. I don't want to be interrupted. I don't
you're
like
a natural.
commercials. The
You're a
camera
natural.
rolls and I rock.
I like it. That's
And
the way you
there's
gotta be.
And CBD oil. Remember Hemp, Boca? CBD oils. I took a
I love
drop
it.
of it before I left, and I am not relaxed.
She's
but I'm
plugging
gonna
your
take-
show. You're
I'm
just
gonna
plugging
take-
your product. I love
It
it.
didn't relax me like I wanted, but I will do more during halftime.
Something I'm pretty proud of.
It's a great product, and it's good for
And
our
a shout out to my
arthritis.
business partner, Jean. We love and miss you. Sorry you can't be here on the show.
Absolutely.
She's also co-owner of Hemp Boca at hempboca.com.
That's right. Best CBD oil in town, baby. It's
Hi,
the truth.
camera. Anyway.
So today I am very excited. Another guest on a Guy Thing podcast. We're hitting all levels. We're going down every road possible. We've had professional wrestlers on the show. We've had bars on the show. We've had restaurants on the show. We've had, shout out, Silver Ball Museum, Retro Arcades on the show. Now we have our very first author and screenplay writer and HIV/AIDS activist
That's my big thing.
on the show. We are very excited to have
Yes.
Susan Lee Mintz here today.
I'm thrilled to be on this show. I said in the beginning, I said this is my first podcast. I am a 72-year-old virgin who just got a cherry popped on this show.
Ooh boy! Like I told you, kids, this is not what you think it is.
But this is
All
the-
new meaning to it.
Not what you think it is. There's a reason I scouted her to come on this show.
Everything in life is about procedure and going forward. As soon as you're too stagnant, you're dead. You've got to keep moving forward. In 1990, I wrote this cookbook, Safe Sex Never Tasted So Good, and it's an incredible book. I'm looking for a publisher to buy this one and the rights to the other. You can go and check it out, Google it, anything you want, but it's a great cookbook. The other thing is, though, AIDS activism, that is where I'm really coming from, and that is what my heart is. Not just to tell my story, but to help people to be aware that it is not going away, that the stigma is real. I speak before long-term HIV/AIDS survivors. I speak about I know my subject matter from 1981. I've been involved for 38 years, hands-on, whether it was in my marriage, whether it was with hospice, or whether it's now teaching people and informing them that the medications and what's out there now can help you to live a long and healthy life. But the thing is, you must get tested yet. Seniors are the stupidest group out there right now, thinking because they can't get pregnant and the kids are grown, that they can, no seniors over 55 retired smoking your brains out and having your drinks and screwing anybody you want. You will get ill. You can get this virus. Teenagers are more informed than my senior colleagues are.
Wow.
So as far as I'm concerned, prepare to be, you will definitely have to deal with HIV at some point in your life if you do not do what you're supposed to do along the way. Healthy choices.
That's what we're going to talk about today, guys. This is the first half. We're going to be talking to Susan about this. So if anybody's out there playing hide the pickle, make sure it's wrapped up because it's very important.
And that's not a guarantee. There's the other thing. PrEP is wonderful. PrEP is, it's called pre-exposure prophylaxis. The best. That is helping people to become undetectable. That is out there. You have as much information as you could want.
Absolutely.
But there is no 100% safe sex other than abstinence, and that's what saved my life. So I love this man dearly, but when I heard about HIV in '81, and I knew he was bisexual, and he was having multiple affairs, and we didn't know anything. We chose to have an sexually abstinent relationship, but the love was there, the intimacy was there, everything. And then when he took ill, I took care of him until he passed. So it's not a question of that, it's a question of choices that you have to be aware of. You have to make healthy choices, but it's different now than it was in the 80s and 90s. If you don't know about it, it's because you don't want to. And that's the big reason I'll keep going until my movie is made on my story, this love story, Committed to Love. You go to SusanMintz.com and you can read all the YouTube in it, you can do everything. I feel like I've been around this thing from day one, and I have. But I was born to do this. This is the legacy and the ministry that God gave me.
I can see the passion already, the way you talk about it.
It is.
I definitely can see.
It'll never stop.
You know, that
I'm
passion.
an advocate and a proponent for activism in HIV. Remove the stigma, bring people together. I was saying this on the way over. Nobody looks at HIV like I do as a uniter. I Twitter this all the time. HIV could be a uniter. It doesn't care about your religious preferences or your sexual agenda, or if you're black or white or you're Democrat or you're political. It doesn't care.
Right.
All it wants to do is get in a vessel. So for me, it could bring every community out. It could unite Republicans and Democrats as an issue. It could do Christians, Jewish, Muslims, and Buddhists. It could do black and white. We are so compartmentalized into our little groups that we're not seeing a big picture called HIV/AIDS that's still here.
Yep.
And it could bring people together. And if my book gets made into a series or a movie, that would be what I would speak about. Bringing people together through something that you can prevent, but that there are medications out there that can help. And there's information out there that can help, and that you don't have to become a victim like people perhaps were. And I hate that word because you're not a victim, but I know that in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, that you didn't have the information you have. But now, once I can get my platform established, remove that stigma, you're gonna have people coming out from every sector of our population saying, I'm HIV positive, and I'm proud of it, and I'm not ashamed, and I'm not bad, and I didn't do anything wrong. Come out. Actresses, actors, you have the other thing that pisses me off tremendously, you have your charity balls, you have your AIDS events, you have all of this, all of that. Where's all that money really going to?
Right, it's going in somebody's pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
That's-
really know where your AIDS walks are going,
Yeah,
all of this other stuff? The thing is I would rather see you, if you wanna do an event, that's great. Give it to a local community
Right.
place.
Well,
Give it to a local somebody that's doing it. Give it to your
Absolutely.
health department. Give it to the World AIDS Museum. Find a facility near you that's treating people. Give it to them.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and we're gonna get more into this in a second. I just wanted
I
to
can never
give a
stop
special
talking.
thanks. You're doing great. I want to give a special thanks to our last guest, financial advisor Erich Lipstein, for being on the show last week. He gave excellent financial advice. If you want to reach out, if you need advice on anything, if you have any questions, hit him up 561-376-3913. Also, just a quick update. This is week 1 complete of DDPY yoga. I've been on it for a week now. I have 9 herniated discs in my back. I'm trying everything I can to get that chronic pain out. I do take CBD oil, and I will tell you this, I'm very sore from DDPY, but that's just week 1, so I'm interested to see what the outcome is on that, so I'll keep you guys weekly updated on DDP yoga. But before we get into more questions with Susan, today, we are going to discuss gender fluid person that licked an airplane toilet seat. Florida security guard farts his way to getting fired, and much more on the show. And also, my cousin, co-hosting tonight, owner of Hemp, Boca, Chris Ronzo.
How are you? Hey, cuz.
What's up,
man?
brother?
So proud of
I
you.
forgot the bottle of wine. I'm
It's okay,
sorry.
no problem, no problem.
sorry, she's
no
got the
problem.
oil.
It's okay, a little selfish, but it's all right. It's unbelievable.
I would.
I'm proud of you, man. It's great to be
We're
here.
having a good time,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for inviting me. It's great to see you again.
Where's our martinis? Forget
Oh.
the wine.
That's what I'm talking about.
You all right? What about shots?
Shots.
I'll do some fireball.
Tequila. Why don't you run out in the middle of your show?
Yeah, exactly.
Put us on pause and get us the tequila, and we'll do some
That's
shots.
what maybe they'll have a leftover bottle of wine they can bring. So, for our live viewers, if you haven't noticed, we're actually in a smaller office today. Typically, we're in the main conference room at Cross Country Studios, but they're doing like a wine tasting event today. So we kind of burrowed in here. But hopefully there'll be
Want me
some
to
leftover
ask?
wine. Do not ask. No. Have nothing to do with that event. That has nothing to do with
I
me.
don't either, but I would ask.
We'll see how it pans out. I think if we throw it out there in the universe, I got a funny feeling it's just gonna come to us.
How if I just stand outside and look thirsty?
So, I'm glad you gave our listeners an insight on, why you're an HIV activist and your situation. Now, I really want to know, and I think our listeners would want to know, because I think like we're all involved in different relationships, right? Some people involved in very traumatic relationships, abusive relationships, relationships full of lies, no trust, a lot of different things. What was it like for you to find out your husband's secret life and the fact that he contracted this disease emotionally? Like, what was that like for you before you became this HIV activist? How was that?
I was 11 years old when I met my husband, when I met Jeffrey. Handsomest, most incredible little guy. We were best friends, and I got pregnant. I slept with half the city and everybody else from the United Nations. So that didn't matter. I mean, it wouldn't matter. I had no biases about anything. And so next thing I know, I come home one time to get married to somebody else, and he came home from college, and he was with everybody, and he's so handsome. And so next thing I know, well, we got drunk one night on some Russian vodka, and woke up the next day on the floor and naked. And 6 weeks later, I was pregnant. And of course, you had to do the right thing. It was Troy, New York, and there was only one gynecologist, and he took care of my mother-in-law and my mother, and everybody thought, how could Jeffrey be the one that knocked me up
The
when I
moral of the
slept
story
with
is don't
everybody
drink
else?
Russian vodka.
So the moral of the story is don't get knocked up in a small town by your best friend. They will talk. So we went on our honeymoon 4 months later to Spain, and next thing I know, he's got a wall around him. He always had a wall around him, and they big fights, fought a lot. And then next thing I know, the passion was incredible, but we fought a lot. And he says he thinks he might be gay because he's had a couple of sexual relationships in college with men. Well, what do I know from it? We cried, we screamed, we did, we canceled everything, and then we just kind of moved on, and then we really literally, he was okay for a while. I mean, okay, that he was able to get more into marriage, and he was going for his master's degree, then we were going for his doctorate. It was in Gainesville when he was going for his doctorate, things started to really surface. And then everything, my story is a combination of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. If you've never heard of it, get it. It's brilliant. Love story from 1970 where she has leukemia and dies, big deal. Now we're dealing with The Notebook, where it's Alzheimer's. I got all three movies. I got all three movies in me. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, The Love Story with Leukemia, and The Notebook with Alzheimer's, but the passion. The passion of The Notebook was the passion that Jeffrey and I had. He would never have left me, I wouldn't have left him. But as many lovers as he had, and I knew many of them, and as much as we were, I was never supposed to leave him, and I would never have left him. I'm all chilled right now because I know it's the truth. He would never have divorced me. Not one of his lovers ever knew that he would ever have left me. They knew they couldn't compete with his stability and his rock. But I was also in a terrible place in myself because I knew that AIDS had happened, and his partners in our neighborhood we lived in Houston was very artistic, and a lot of my dental hygiene patients were dying, and my neighborhood was dying. I saw my neighborhood wiped out. And I knew though when I heard about AIDS in '81, and when God spoke to me, and he said to stay with this man and love him now more than he's ever loved him before, because he's going to need you more later than he's ever needed you before. And that's when we made that decision. But the love was there, the passion was there, never stopped. We just didn't have a sexual relationship. But to this day, 25 years later, I am still a widow. I do not date. I do not want to get married. I want to make a movie from my story, help tens of millions of people around the world who will possibly either save their marriage. At least my husband told me early on that he thought he was gay, and you don't think you're gay. You're either gay or you're not. If you repress your sexuality at some point, sweetheart, it's going to be acted out in some way. So get over the myth that you can change a man, you can change a woman. You're not going to change someone's sexuality. So don't even try to do it. Accept it, walk, leave, run, cry, but don't.
I gotta tell you, that's true love right there. Because there's relationships out there, there's marriages out there that are mind-boggling to me how they end with such little problems that become huge issues apparently,
Mhm.
and then marriages end, and then you hear a story like this. So anybody that's out there that's like questioning their relationship, their marriage,
Uh-huh.
and you know, you don't have it as bad as some people do. And look what this woman's doing.
And I took
Come
care
on.
of him for over 2 years, every moment, and I wrote those journals. That's how the book became a big, because every day, when he was diagnosed, full-blown AIDS-related pneumonia, deathly ill with 105 fever and put in a hospital, the nurse and everybody was gloved up. It was like the men from Glad then. I mean, nobody knew what they were. It was just, I just sat there in a chair near the phone, and I'm watching everybody treat this man as if he was a leper, and he had, and nobody knew much about it. And all I know is there was a little piece of paper, a pad near the phone, with a pen. And God again, and you can tell me she's crazy. She hears from God. No, God will talk to you if you shut up long enough and stay in the quiet and listen to him. He talks in your heart. But he talked to me and said, take it and start writing. And for over 2 years, every night, I never went to bed without documenting every detail of our experience from June 20th, 1992 to his death August 17th, 1994. That's what's in 15 journals, and I ended up transposing it a couple years later into this book. So that's why when I say it's a mini-series, this is not a book for 90 minutes, even Lifetime. This is a movie that's meant to be drawn out,
You know what's-
lengthy, and involve marriage,
what's
involve
unfortunate-
AIDS, involve women. But that is the other thing, is don't be deceived today because the media isn't covering it. Don't be deceived today because that one person was cured again. Don't be deceived.
So,
By anything.
what's unfortunate is that in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, HIV was all over the news, all over
That's
the
right,
news.
it was.
You know, everybody's coming out of the woodwork, oh, we
Yeah.
gotta do this, we gotta, let's create all these foundations, and then now we're here in 2000s. I don't remember when the last time I put on the television, or in the newspaper, or something, or in the social media was talking about HIV, it's talking about fighting HIV, what can we do? You know, having all these, you know, these charity events, and I remember there was so many of them, wherever you go, Joe, it was, you know, back in New York, there was so many.
Look what happened with Magic Johnson when he first got diagnosed.
Same
Oh,
time
yeah.
my
It was
husband
huge.
was.
It was huge. Everything was AIDS. When you saw it on TV and the newspapers, everything was AIDS. You know.
I feel like a dinosaur in that respect because I have never stopped believing that I know this story will touch millions of lives. I've never stopped believing that they're gonna find a cure in the next couple of years. And I do know that the amount of money spent on research, again, the pharmaceutical companies should be ashamed of themselves, not only for HIV, but the prices they charge for drugs, but especially, you've got some of the poorest people with HIV
Yes.
who have no medication, they can't afford, they don't have even Medicare, they don't have
Right.
the pharmaceutical industry today should be on their knees asking God for forgiveness.
Listen, many of us, not all of us, but many of us in the cannabis or CBD industry, on a flip side of that, what the farmers are doing, what the pharmaceuticals are doing to people with their painkillers, opioids
Yep.
and stuff, it's sickening.
Look at Purdue.
It's
Purdue's
sickening.
getting these, may file bankruptcy because of these gazillion-dollar lawsuits because of the OxyContin. The doctors prescribed it.
Check this out.
Pharmacies allowed it. It's
check
not
this
just a
out, Susan.
pharmaceutical company. You got your pain management clinics that are
Yeah.
front for stuff. You've got your doctors who are doing scripts they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Check this out. You may appreciate this. So this happened in London. On March 5th, this article came out just a few weeks ago. HIV positive man in Britain has become the second known adult worldwide to be cleared of AIDS virus after he received a bone marrow transplant from HIV resistant donor.
Mhm.
So almost 3 years after receiving bone marrow stem cells from a donor with a rare genetic mutation that resists HIV infection, and more than 18 months after coming off antiretroviral drugs, highly sensitive tests still showed no trace of the man's previous HIV infection.
Try doing that though to millions of people who
Right.
I mean, you're talking about 2 people in all these years who have had that through a bone marrow transplant.
Listen,
Try doing that to your average person.
let me tell you
They're
something.
cloning dogs now. They
Oh,
better have it figured
Joe,
out.
let me tell you, on the CBD side of things, you know, the marijuana industry, do you know that the government has hundreds and hundreds of patents, that they've owned patents disclosing what marijuana and or CBD can do to people over the hundreds of years? And they're gonna be forced to release this information out to the public. They've known they've known what CBD, THC, hemp, marijuana plant, the hemp plant, cannabinoids, cannabidiol, they've known everything that this is all natural, organic, and it helps people.
This
For many
country
years.
is so
Hundreds
anal.
of patents.
This country is so screwed up. The media doesn't give a damn about
They
it.
want them
They
big.
pharmaceutical
All they
companies
care about
don't
is the
care.
money.
All they want is the money. You can go to India, you can go to so many countries, they're smoking right out there in the street. You go to Amsterdam, Jesus, there's nobody who's not smoking. Amsterdam is the most progressive country in the world, and I've been
I said
there.
it,
It's wonderful.
Listen.
This country is so messed up when it comes to its ego, its
Yeah.
power,
It's
and
all
you're
about the money.
denying the
It's all
average
about the money.
person the quality of life they deserve.
So I want everybody to hear how you're growing. Your audience is growing
Yeah.
so fast. Let me tell you something, man. My cousin, a guy thinks got the greatest podcast. He delivers incredible information, valuable information, and because of him and because of you, he has grown so fast. You know, this is a couple really special topics that we're talking about: HIV, CBD, and what's the common denominator is the pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
So if you're an advocate of HIV and wanting to get off those drugs and get into something all natural or other preventatives or any education, reach out to Susan Mintz. She will help you. If you're big on CBD or cannabis or CBD products that can help you in an organic and healthy way, again, it's the opposite effect of being on taking these drugs that can kill you from the pharmaceuticals. They don't care. They want you addicted. Not addiction to feeling better. They want you back in the medical office or at pharmacies to get the drugs again. Or go back and get more prescriptions. Keep following Joe on a Guy Thing, a podcast. There's always great information here. Spread the word. The more people like you support my cousin here, support all of us that are for these two. It's just amazing.
And the other thing is, if you go though, and I'm so grateful that Joey wanted me on, and I met him through cousin Chris from the Hemp Boca show.
And that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing is that, organic stuff here, guys. I don't. Look, I could reach out to people and say, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to come on my show. I could do that, right? But why? There's something special about organic growth. There's something special about
Passion, money.
linking together with one person, another person linking together with another, and then all of a sudden things just start to happen, right? I think that's the best kind of growth because it's real.
Because nothing
right?
is an accident.
And I heard,
Everything is purpose.
if I met Susan on the street, I don't think I would think to, and this is not a knock against you, but I don't think I would think to have you on my show. But then when I met you through my cousin, and we had such a great interaction, then I heard your story. I was like, wow, what an amazing human being.
And I
What an
wouldn't go
amazing
out with you,
story.
you're too old.
So
for me.
true. And listen, let me.
He's too old for me.
Let me take 1 minute and just brief on how you and I rejoined.
Oh, that's
How
a
long
funny
is the
story.
show?
Listen, everybody,
We
this
go
is
about
no
an hour,
joke.
maybe
That's
a little
perfect, because I
longer.
don't want him to take up
This
more
is
time
my
on the show.
blood here. This is my real, true second cousin. You want to know how we rejoined from many, many years ago? My business partner, Jean, shout out to Jean. I know you're working. God bless. She's known my cousin.
Shout out to Dasani.
What, 4 to 6 years? And didn't even know. I met Jean randomly last year through a mutual friend, and we started Hemp Boca together. All this time, she's known my second cousin. So listen, the stars have aligned in so
Yeah.
many reasons.
That's right.
And that's another organic story.
Absolutely. Actually, really, that was
Right.
crazy how
So
that
I
happened.
thank you that I was on the show and met both of you.
Absolutely.
The other thing I just want to say about going to my website is susanmintz.com. There are not only YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook, but there's interviews that range from my marriage to my relationships to hospice and to and so if you did really want to know Susan Lee Mintz, you're not going to know it from one show, but if you go to my website, there's at least 10 or 12 or maybe 15 interviews on various subjects that I've dealt with. And I thank God for giving me the money and the time since he's passed in '94. He's given me time and money to be able to do that, wear the different hats, and wherever I'm supposed to go, that's the other thing I will tell people is, if you don't have faith, you don't have anything.
That's right.
You don't have to believe in God, but if you at some point had to look in the mirror and say, I can do this, and that's your faith, And I know one thing, that's what my love for him was about, and my love for my marriage. This is about commitment. You don't leave somebody because they didn't take the trash out. The people who are getting married and doing a lot of relationships now are walking for the stupidest reasons. When you make a commitment to love somebody, you stick to it. Because if not, there's somebody much bigger up there watching you. This is not a coincidence that the three of us
Listen,
met.
the pharmaceutical companies, there are labs out there that are now buying out CBD businesses.
They won't be able to though, because people
course,
like you.
yeah,
will
they're trying to
speak
gobble
up.
everybody
Oh,
up.
but they're gonna fail. They're gonna fail because people, listen,
They legalize
the
marijuana
most
in 50
powerful
states.
person is the consumer,
You're bad.
right?
We are.
You know
That
what?
is the most powerful person.
Artificial can never outlast natural.
Never.
It just
You
just
can't you can't copy an original.
Last week, no joke, last week, there's a company, they haven't released the name yet, they're going to. There's a company on NASDAQ worth millions of dollars, was just investigated and caught putting deadly chemicals in CBD products.
What?
Deadly
Why not?
chemicals in CBD products. Listen to this part. I'm getting chills because I get pissed
Why
off
not?
when I
Why
hear
not?
this.
Why not?
I'm
If there's a
fucking
way to
pissed
mess
off.
it
Let me
up.
tell you, they've had their license for 11 months. They've been on NASDAQ not too long. Think about this. Think about what these people are doing. When you're out there and you get into CBD and you're not sure about it, read about what you're gonna buy. Don't go in there and buy it. Because there are products that you can go buy for $5, $10, $20.
It's
You
true.
need to question the quality, question the labelings. A lot of mislabeling going on out there. A lot of fake oil. Did you know that the labs can make synthetic CBD products at 600% stronger? Seriously, people? Watch what you're putting in your body.
Seriously.
And
No.
marijuana should be legal in every state for over the age of 18. Legalize marijuana, control it, tax it, throw it here, and make it easy. If you can if you can vote, if you can pay taxes, if you can serve your country and maybe come back dead or half brain dead, and when you're worrying about your government taking care of you, if you can do all that thing, and I can go into a 7-Eleven and buy a bottle of wine at 3 o'clock in the morning, I should be able to go into any legitimate place, charge it, write a check, have the feds handle it, and have it legalized, and stop all this medical nonsense and all this crap that's going on.
Yeah.
Make it a federal, and I think that somebody who ran on that alone could win.
Yeah.
I would run stating, legalize marijuana in every state
Damn right.
over the age of 18.
Puff, puff, pass,
How's
baby.
that?
That's true.
That's
true.
what Susan Lee
And we-
Mintz
and-
of Boca
Absolutely.
Raton would
Yeah.
run on. Legalize marijuana and get rid of all the big pharmacy places and get rid of half of Congress and get them a new hairdo and get them better hair and shut them the hell up. They all got the same bad hair.
And Joe, when we resume our show, which has always been, when we are on our show, we are all about awareness. We're all about
Tell
educating
my
the
listeners about your
consumer.
show.
Listen,
How can they get one on your show?
yeah, it's called the Hemp Boca Show. It's on 95.3, 1470 WNN. We are on iHeartRadio every Tuesday from 2:30 to 3:30. Starting Tuesday, we're resuming. Actually, we're resuming. We did a lot of changes. Starting April 2nd, we were just offered this. And also, our producers, God bless them, they had finished agreements with Hulu and Amazon Prime and Netflix, and
Yeah.
they had just decided to create our show again and bring us on with
Beautiful.
them.
What's
So-
exciting, man?
But
That's
listen,
huge.
when you listen to our show, we're very, very non-biased. We're all about educating you. You don't have to buy our products at all. We just want you to be aware of what's out there, and that's what's most important to us.
Absolutely. I love it. You're doing great. Oh, speaking of which, speaking of changes, there was a little change in the Guy King Podcast website. Little change. I had a little head scratching moment this morning. I went to
What
log
happened?
on. I went to log on to a GuyKingPodcast.com.
Not there?
It's not there. It vanished somehow, some way. I don't know. It was a little head scratcher. I was like scratching my head on that one.
Violation?
Total redesign, folks. We've done a total redesign. It was just, like I said, a head scratching moment, but a total redesign. And the new website, GuyThinkPodcast.com.
Nice.
Sometimes they say get the F out. I had to take the A. We had to get the A out. GuyThinkPodcast.com, even better. Better
Nice.
than the last one. Wait till you see this website. Very interactive. You're gonna love it. So check it out. Just rolled out today.
You're talented, man. People, you don't understand what Joe has to put together to get this thing going every week for you guys. He does this all himself. Fantastic, man. Great job.
Thanks, brother.
Great job.
Well, it's getting back to you, commitment and having faith, right?
Faith.
And what you said was perfect, because
Faith, hope,
I've
and
had
love.
people tell me, you're crazy about doing your podcast, why are you doing it, blah, blah, blah. People think I'm nuts, right? And they have other people that love it, right? But that's great, everybody's got their own opinion, but it's better what I think about it, right?
Exactly.
If I enjoy doing something, I'm gonna do it, right?
Yes.
If I have faith and I'm committed to it, and I feel like this is something that is bigger than what other people think,
Yep.
just because somebody gives me a negative comment or a negative review, that's great, but I don't care. Because I'm gonna do what I feel is right. And the people that are fit to be with me are the ones that are gonna support me. And the ones that don't are gonna drop off really
That's right.
quickly.
Bye-bye.
So I embrace the ones that drop off.
That's
It's
it.
time to
It's
go.
unfortunate.
It's
There are
time to
more,
go.
there are more critics out there than support.
It says, what is the expression? It says, people that do don't talk, and people that talk don't do.
And I'm gonna tell you something.
Humble.
Well, I think I'm
It's
good at
spiritual.
both, though. I do and talk, so I'm fine.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. Great people stick with you. Great people do really nice things for you that don't have to do nice things for you,
No.
right? It's so
They
true.
want
And
it.
I've always lived my life like that. I've always been really nice and respectful to people, and somehow, some way, it's. I feel like I never really gave someone a real true reason to be disrespectful to me. But it happens quite often, and it took me a long time to actually embrace that
Yeah.
fall off of friendships and
Right.
relationships.
Oh.
But I've actually embraced it. I've actually thanked God that, you know what, get rid of them as fast as you can,
But the thing-
because this train is not stopping.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to get into is cross country mortgages.
Yes.
Our sponsor, let me tell you something about these guys here at this place. They're unbelievable. They are unbelievable because they give me this facility to do my show in for free. They do it for free. You want to talk about organic, folks? If you have something in you that says, you know what, I really want to do something, open your mouth, talk to people about it. You never know unless you talk about it, right?
So true.
I had a conversation with the owner here. Love the idea of me having my show here. Now, if I had never asked, maybe I'd be somewhere else, but I'm so happy to be here. This place is beautiful. It's awesome. The people are amazing here. And just so you know, they're open 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes.
7 days a week. This place does not sleep. You want a mortgage? This is the place to be. Seriously, they get the job done. They got my mortgage done. In 12 days, I was closed. Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing, incredible place, super professional. You gotta hit these guys up. They're number one in the game, best in the game. Our sponsors, I love them. They're the best. They truly are the best. I love them very much. And I want you
Shout
to
out to them. That's awesome.
hit up my boy Frank Cristiano. He was actually on episode, I think, 5. You just gotta listen to it. It's a really good show. Frank knows his shit, and you guys will be really pleased. The show's here every week, folks. We don't miss a beat. Just like cross country.
But
Really
see,
proud of you. Really proud.
when you're purposed to do something, even if it's for a few minutes, or for a day, or for a year, or for your lifetime, expect the rejections, expect you'll eventually want them. Because to me, the more rejections, disappointments, everything I've had in my life only says I've gotten to you. Now, if I didn't try, I fail. But the mere fact I try, to say, wake up one day and say, yeah, there's no reason why my story can't be made into a major motion picture.
For
For
sure.
me not to believe that would be defeating possibly my own destiny in
You
life.
can't imagine. You can't imagine when Gene and I started Hemp Boca a year ago. A year. It's going to be a year.
Wow,
1 year.
that's crazy.
It's crazy. The ups and downs, the tribes and
You
tribulations.
get stronger.
And you get strong. But
You
you
get
know something? We
stronger.
work so well together. We get through it. And we're so thankful how things are going, and we take it slow, but taking it slow is slowly, it's starting to pay off now.
You go with your
Sure.
pace.
You go with your pace.
Yeah.
And, you said something earlier, Joe. It's like you never know. Well, first of all, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? When you have passion, you believe in something, you go with that instinct.
It'll happen.
You go for it. Don't worry about the evil eye that's surrounding you, because they're all about jealous. They're all jealous. They're all
That's it.
insecure. That's the issue, because they see what you have and they don't have it.
Right.
You know, so instead of praising you, it's easier for someone to be
To
negative because it
criticize
makes
you.
them feel better,
Right.
right?
That's where the news is coming from today. You're not getting the news reported, you're getting the news slanted, you're getting the news according to what the news station wants you to say.
Exactly.
You're not getting it accurately anymore. It's very hard to stay legitimate and honest and stay in your lane and not deviate when there's always bombardment, where things are coming at you that want to take you off your
You know-
path. And as long as people are involved, as long as your heart is for the people,
Yeah.
number one, are you valuable in my eyes and in God's eyes? Are you valuable to someone else? It's all about value, human value, being treated humanely, being treated with respect. Don't cast anybody out, because you don't know who that lottery ticket is going to go to the next day.
I wish it was me, man, because I
But it's
played
a-
that Powerball yesterday.
Truly though, don't burn a bridge,
That's
even if they hate you and they reject you, just let it walk, just
Absolutely.
walk and be nice
You know,
and
there's-
just walk away, but don't say anything really bad, because you don't know tomorrow how that person
You gotta
said,
take risks.
thank you so
Yeah.
much, risk.
You gotta take risks.
Oh,
I can't say too much about it, because one, I don't wanna jinx it. Two,
oh,
Gene and I made a promise, we're not talking about stuff that, because it's gotten to a point where, there was a couple weeks ago, we were out, and I just sat there, we had a couple of appointments, and we went to lunch, and I'm like, I thought of this idea, and I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm making a phone call, nobody's thought of this idea. And I made a phone call to a major company, and got the person, said, you know, it's a great idea, I'll call you, let's see what happens, right? Now, I got off the phone, I was like, you know, I'm probably not gonna call. A week and a half goes by, I get a phone call. Not only that they got up to the creator of the company, but he actually assigned, you know,
yeah.
legal,
Mhm.
and is looking into this particular idea.
That's pretty
I've
good.
already met with them. And that's, you know, I can't really say too much, but
Oh,
it
it's only
always,
us in
it
this
always,
room, you can
no,
tell us.
no, it's not
Just
gonna
the
do
three
it.
of us, it's just a guy thinking a widow.
I know, right? Nobody's out there, no, and, you know, you gotta take risks, you don't know what's gonna happen.
You don't know what's gonna happen, and dude, absolutely. Stay committed, stay focused, and enjoy it while you do it, and that's it. Forget about everything else. Just know
Exactly.
in your mind, there's always gonna be negative things that are gonna happen, there's always gonna be negative people that are gonna happen. That
Oh,
comes with the territory,
I love
folks.
it.
So just continue, don't worry about that stuff,
Right.
expect it. And when you expect it, you're not gonna be surprised by it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really give a shit, I just do what I want to
believe
do.
your heart
But
knows.
let's get right into it. I want to talk about this week in social media. Very important stuff going on, folks. If you want to talk about some true news here, I got some for you. Let's just kick it right off. Gender fluid person films itself licking airplane toilet seat. This has been all over social media. Video was posted on Twitter and viewed over 6 million times. It defended itself for the video and said that it is a sex worker. The video was posted by Twitter user @grimiest, GRIMIESTT.
What does this even mean?
So,
I have no
Wait a
idea.
minute. Unfortunately, from my hometown, Brooklyn, so I'm very sad to report that.
Wow.
This person also posts weird sexual videos. I didn't personally look at them. This is what I read. I don't want to look at them. Now, this person identifies as gender fluid. And if you don't know what gender fluid
I have
is,
an idea. probably.
gender fluid
Just
means they don't consider
whatever.
themselves a man or a woman. They're like
Exactly.
some sort of in between.
Oh, I thought it meant liquid.
Liquid.
So what happens when, I mean,
Oh, I thought it was liquids, and I
this
guess I didn't
is-
understand what gender liquids would be other than
I always thought the
squirts.
whole fluid thing was that they don't recognize
Yeah,
themselves. It's
they're fluid.
They're
like,
just
they're-
all over the, yeah.
It's just another weird name for weird people.
But then this
That's
is
how I
part of
look at it.
social
I
media.
mean, that's,
And think
that's
about where you're doing social media, what's getting 6 million hits or so.
right.
What are people looking for? They're looking for content that's real.
But
I
you're
mean,
licking
So
toilet
this-
seats.
this is-
You go in an airplane
This
and
is
lick
how
the toilet seat.
sick and twisted
It
the
is.
society is going. This is considered entertainment. This is what people are
They
waiting
need to
for.
get a job, they need to get a life,
You know what?
they need to get volunteer, go back to school, they need to
What-
get out of their brains.
what-
Telling you.
what
They need to
happens-
smoke.
I'm sitting on an airplane and I'm
Smoke.
thinking to myself, what can I do to get attention from people?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lick the fucking toilet
Yeah.
seat in an airplane.
That alone is so sick.
What a shithead.
Absolute
In the crapper.
disgrace. Now, first of
Put
all,
it in the crowd.
I don't have, look, Susan's on the show, right? And Susan, obviously, you just heard her story. But I gotta speak freely because
Oh,
this-
please do.
this show is
Okay.
about speaking your mind, speaking freely, right? I don't get it with the gender thing. This identifying as this and
Well,
that,
yeah.
I think it's getting
It's
out of control.
What does gender
out
have
of
to
hand.
do with licking a toilet?
If you got a set of balls, you're a guy. It's plain and simple. If you got two parts, if you were born that way, what is it, hermaphrodite? Is that the proper term, or a transgender? Is that the proper term?
I'm so loaded on CBD oil right now, I can't even think.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think like we have these really crazy people out there that are starting to come up with this terminology to identify themselves.
Yeah, why can't you say like some guy licked the toilet seat instead of
Gender
fluid?
fluid.
What does
Like,
gender
I
have to
gotta
do
be
with
honest,
licking
folks.
a toilet seat?
In my walk of life, I have never, ever met someone that identified as a gender fluid, as a transgender. I may have met a transgender person before, I've never known it because they didn't disclose it to me. But all this shit that I see on the internet, on the news about transgender this and gender fluid that, I don't identify as this, I identify as that. I see it all on social media, I see it all on TV, but I never actually meet them in real life, which I just find that interesting.
Well, I did though, in Houston where we lived, we moved to Houston in 1974, and we were there till 85, and we lived in an arty area called Montrose, and it was a Kaja Fro, I mean, that was the way it was. The
Wow.
bars and the people and the drag queens and the judging in the Houston contests, and I mean, it was Liza Minnelli and Diana Ross and Barbara Streisand. I mean, your big stars in the 80s were all, I mean, it was all drag. And so my world involved so
You know-
much of that nothing, I used to go to the bathroom, and lots of times in the men's rooms, I would go, because the women's room would be, and there'd be somebody in the ladies' room who had a penis. I never thought twice about it, so I don't, I never.
Were they licking toilet seats?
Not in front of me, but I'm saying, my world involved bisexuality, sexuality,
There's just no
homosexuality,
shame.
cross-dressers, transdressers, I mean, drag queens. That was part of my life, which made me still comfortable with all people,
Right.
because I never looked at anybody, I still
You
don't.
know what's gonna be.
I just want people to be
You know what's
happy
gonna
and
be
do
happening?
something good for someone else.
You know what's gonna be
That's
fascinating?
exactly right.
We
I
were
gar-
put here to make it better
I
for
guarantee
people.
you, Hollywood, I guarantee you by the end of this year, this toilet seat person, liquor, is gonna have gonna be on some talk, or some radio show, some television
Of
show.
course.
Of course.
And maybe offered some job in Hollywood because they call this talent.
I would
Kissing
never,
their ass.
I would
instead of
never
licking
in a
the toilet
million
seat,
years, I talk about it on the show.
Kissing their ass.
There's a reason I talk about this stuff on the show, because I think it's funny. I'm on social media, so many of my listeners are on social, we're all on social media, and you see these crazy things, right? It's like head shaking moments. I think it's funny to talk about, but I also think it's sad at the same time, but it's cool to talk about it because this is the society we live in. It's always something, someone is doing one-upping the next nut job out there. So we gotta talk about it, right? But I would never have these people on the show, except I did make one exception for the next subject, because I really thought this was funny. I don't care what anybody says. Security guard filmed his farts for 6 months on the job, went viral.
For 6 months.
6 months straight,
You
so
filmed them? How do
he
you-
filmed himself,
How
so
do
he
you
got his,
film them?
he got, no, he took a picture of himself, like video recording his facial expression while he passed gas on the job. So this guy, he goes by the fake name on Instagram as Paul Flart. This occurred at Florida Regional Medical Center. He's a security guard at the front desk. He's the guy that when you go to the emergency room, he's the security guard in the uniform checking you in.
Let me ask you a question,
How
Joe.
do you do that though?
So he shows his face?
He shows his
He
face.
shows his
He
face,
should
we
be
know where he
fired.
works,
Yeah.
but yet he gives out a fake name?
And he gives out a
We're
fake
not
name.
gonna figure him out?
I did find out his first name was Doug.
Seriously, guy?
His first name is Doug. I did find that out.
Is he that lonely? Is he that unhappy?
Well, he won't be having his
Well,
job.
wait. So no, he got fired.
Yeah.
He got fired. So he said that he noticed the front desk area where he was working. He was working the graveyard shift, I believe. So it was like, very quiet. And he noticed there was a very loud echo in the lobby. So one night when nobody was in there, he passed gas and it was a rippling, thunderous sound. And it echoed throughout the entire lobby. So he thought it was funny. So what he did was he filmed his facial expression while he passed gas, and the louder the better, and then he would save it and post it on his Instagram page. And every single day he would rip a fart at work, and he's a chubby guy with a mustache. He looks like a busted up Ron Jeremy, and Ron Jeremy's pretty busted up. And then
And moving your bowels in living color.
so these loud cracking sounds went viral, and the video, basically what happened was now he's got you want to talk about freaky stuff, and over 100,000 followers on Instagram for farting, and there's no other post about
As if
fart.
no one else has gas. He happens to be the only one.
I mean, I gotta give the guys some
This
credit,
is-
they're pretty record
You're,
breaking.
you're dealing with CBD and trying to get people off opioids
Right.
and healthier and off of medications. I'm trying to tell a story about HIV and affect millions upon
Right.
millions of lives around the corner. I'm lucky if one day I get one follower.
You see what I'm
Isn't that
saying?
crazy?
And I'm dealing with life-threatening issues.
Right.
Teenagers committing suicide because of their sexuality, and seniors
Yeah.
going on a cruise and sleeping with someone who they don't know, who's probably,
Yeah. I'm on Facebook.
Isn't that mind-boggling
Hemp
to you
is on
that you're
Facebook.
actually trying to do something positive,
I'm
and you
trying
got
to
people that
save
do
the
these
world
things?
from HIV infection, getting infected till there is a vaccine. This woman goes on a cruise. Now, she's my age, she's 60-something, I'm 72. So anyway, these are the stories that I hear. So she goes on a cruise, and remember, when you're 16, you might sleep with a few people.
Yeah.
But when you're 65 or 70, you could have slept with the band, the Florida FAU band, for that matter. Next thing I know, she
The
goes
trombone.
on, going through the whole section, the flutes and then the trombones and the timpanis and the violins, the strings, everything, going through the whole section like a money pit when she says, I'm gonna go through the whole woodwind section. But anyway, so she goes there and she sleeps with this man for 10 days or 2 weeks. Well, needless to say, sorry, Black Dick.
Again, yes! Yes!
I did.
Every single time someone bumps into that, they say sorry to it.
Sorry,
Thank you
Black
so
Dick.
much.
6-inch black dick, I'm so sorry. And if that offends anybody, that's your problem too. So next thing I know, so she's not feeling well. Of course, being older, right away the doctor would never think she's got anything wrong, it's her age.
Yeah.
No, finally after something with her hair or something with her skin or something, they do a test, she's HIV positive. This woman contracted it from some guy on a cruise ship that she slept with while she was dancing and having a great time with, and now she's HIV positive at my age. My issue would be, how do you tell your bridge club that? Well, Myrna says, well, I take high blood pressure medications every single day. And the other one says, well, I'm a diabetic, so I have to watch everything I eat. And the other one says, well, I have to do this, and my blood pressure's up and all this. Well, I happen to be HIV positive. You will not be asked back to your bridge club.
Crazy.
So when I'm trying to deal with life issues,
Yeah.
suicides, people's sexuality issues, not knowing where to go, to where to turn to, health
Yeah.
department stuff, and there's somebody who's licking the toilet seat and
Yeah.
showing his farts, and they're getting the attention.
I know.
This
It's mind-boggling.
is sick.
But this is the world we live in.
No,
It's
not my world.
mind-boggling.
It'll never be my
It's
world.
mind-boggling that this is
No.
where it's at. This is
No,
where it's at.
not my world.
But we could get back to
HIV?
We can get back to couples and commitment on this next segment in This Week in Social Media. Drunk husband tests his wife's love by standing in busy street with oncoming traffic and ends up getting hit by an oncoming van. So just to give you just a quick backstory,
I don't
So-
understand that either.
Okay, me either. But it took place in China, and the entire scene was about a 40-minute scene. It's a whole thing. The guy said he got into a fight with his wife, left the house, went to the bar, got shit-faced, called her up. They continued the argument. Somehow he ends up in the middle of traffic. She's there. Watch the video. She's trying to pull him out. Cars are swerving. He's jumping out of the way. She's jumping out of the way. He's walking around. Finally, she's trying to pull him away. She runs off, and then bang, he gets hit head on by a van.
Did he die?
I'm calling bullshit on this, but I just want to make a point. These are the things that go out there on social media, right? And every time people click on stuff, they automatically think, oh my God, this really happened, right? But I'm going to call bullshit on this one because the article, let's use common sense for a second. The guy gets hit by an oncoming van. I saw the video, and in the video it said he suffered from serious head injuries, obviously, and other major injuries, right? But serious head injuries, keep that in mind. Yet he was able to comment after the accident. He was able to comment and say he wanted to test his wife's love. I gotta call bullshit on that one, folks.
You bet.
It's not real.
There's a
It's
lot
not
of things
real.
you can do with digital.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It is
if
not
you
real.
have head
If
trauma,
it not
maybe
happen.
it's all in his head, period.
Yeah, that or he.
Little head, big head.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Maybe he had too much Fireball or Russian vodka.
Yeah. No, but things like that are getting the attention. And that's social media, that's not the news. The news is too preoccupied with the politics. But social media has become crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what people are watching,
I think it plays a huge role in distracting people from
reality.
reality.
You bet.
Why do you? I know it plays a role in why you don't see the HIVs or other ailments or anything that we've grew up on. You know, there was so many people involved, so many charities. I remember all the companies. Everybody had a charity. Everybody wanted to do something for AIDS.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to do something for abused children, abused women. Where
The
is
funding, the money is dried up. They even want to, it was stated today in the news that the lady who was with somebody, she wanted to cut $18 million from the Special Olympics from that group. And then Trump said, no, that's not gonna happen. When you think about what our legislators that we have elected are doing, that is also a disgrace.
Yeah, it is.
What the politicians have been allowed to get away with, and that we are not protesting even more than we should be protesting. I would love to see everybody who's HIV positive, every LGBTQ, anybody who's been touched by HIV, I'd love to see every faction involved in this country start in their big cities doing these big rallies again. Because in the 80s and 90s, when a lot of the people were dying and passing away, these were mom and pops, these were the artistic groups, these were the choreographers, the artists, the dancers, and so on. And you had mom and pops, as I was involved with the quilt, and I was involved with all of this stuff. You had mom and pop groups springing up in the hospitals and all over in homes. You had the support groups. There is no support groups other than your health department. You have the Pride Center, you have Compass, you have the World AIDS Museum. Try to find hospitals that have HIV/AIDS support groups in them anymore. It's as if it's gone away. And that's a sin, and that is a
sad.
disgrace.
That's very
And
sad.
that's one day I'm gonna state the same things I'm stating here nationally. Shame on you for not covering this virus that's still here the way it should be covered. And bringing the information out through the media that they would understand, not just through Twitter, not just through a few organizations, but to bringing it out in the radio, in TV, nationally. You should have it every week. There should be a segment about it somewhere, locally or nationally. There should be a movie a year, not every 10 years, about AIDS. There should be a movie every year out about AIDS, because as long as something like that is still here, and it's taking lives, and it's affecting lives, and it's costing this country a fortune, every year there should be a movie about HIV.
Absolutely. And
Oh, I'm so adamant about
They're
this.
good stories. They're stories that affect a lot of people.
And they're not depressing all the time.
No.
There's, in Philadelphia, in the end, he was
What a-
vindicated in the
Bohemian
end.
Rhapsody.
The
Did you see
Bohemian
the
Rhapsody.
amazing movie?
Amazing movie. The
incredible.
Normal Heart. When you
Yeah.
have the Queen Latifah with the one that she just did in It's out now again, coming out maybe. But every movie that has to do with HIV or AIDS, it's not depressing. You may have times in there where it's upsetting, but so is Alzheimer's, so is Parkinson's, so is cancer, so is anything that you're going to talk about. People want to be removed from reality. Well, you're not going to be removed from a reality that wants into your body and can change your life for real. But that is where I'm coming from. Shame on the media, and shame on Tollywood, and shame on the news people. Shame on all of you for not taking on the issues more strongly, like high blood pressure, diabetes, HIV. Shame on you.
Definitely.
Your father could be the next victim or patient. Your mother could be the next one. Your brother, the person you laughed at, your neighbor next door, who you thought had problems. Maybe he did have a problem. He was HIV positive and nobody cared about him and he killed himself.
I love this lady. I love you. I love you. I love that attitude.
Because I've seen it, I've heard it, I've seen it, I've been around it since '81.
Right.
I've seen every facet of it, I've heard every excuse
Right.
for it. I've dealt with teenagers, I've dealt with black and white and rich and poor and old and young. And I'm not going to go away until the Lord takes me, because this story's got to be told. And the only way I'm going to get that platform to remove the stigma, get people to a quality of life they deserve, get them the resources they need, is to have those multi-gazillions of dollars to be able to have that. And I will be on these news programs, and I will be on these national stations, and I will not change my mantra. You go get tested, you know your status, and then you take your precautions. And if people around you don't support you, then they would have walked a hell of a long time ago about something else anyway.
I really hope the people that are watching and listening to this show, I really truly hope this touched someone. This maybe brought something to light, something. If you know somebody that's in a situation that is not watching right now, or is not listening right now, have them tune into this episode. Have them, I want this episode to be shared with as many people as possible because it's important. I know a lot of times we talk about a lot of fun stuff and funny stuff, but I really felt the need to have this particular show because we need to raise awareness, and Susan's a great person to get in touch with. Susan, one more time,
Susan,
let our listeners know.
but the other thing is that I laughed a lot. We laughed a lot. We were a team. We were IBM and Xerox. We were a team. We didn't want to buy each other out. We couldn't leave each other. We were together. But we laughed. I missed the laughter. And even in this book, with the serious stuff that we're spiking 105 fever, I remember the time he did all the carrot juice. He did so much carrot juice, he comes running out of the bathroom and said, I just shit out a turd that was orange and it looked like a carrot. I mean, there are scenes that will be funny. And at the end, all you'll have is a woman that loves somebody that much. But there are so many times, and so when he wouldn't take the meds, all these meds he was having to take, they were killing him. But he wouldn't take them. He had to take them with fat. And we were always so healthy, and he was so healthy. And he had to take these medications with fatty things. So one morning I said, fuck this. And I said, I'm getting a Snickers bar. I took out a Snickers bar, and I put all the damn medications in the Snickers bar and said, breakfast is served. And we had so many great times, even through this illness.
That's all in your book too, those stories?
Everything is in this book.
How can our listeners find that book?
It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. If the store wants to order it, fine. If not, you can go online to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go on my website. We have it all there. It says order here. We have PayPal. If you want to just charge it and get it from my publisher. You can find Susan Lee Mintz in Boca Raton.
Can you autograph those books for me,
Oh, of
please?
course I will. That's why I brought them. And then also, I need a publisher desperately to buy Safe Sex Never Tasted So Good, a.k.a. Mrs. Boner from Boca, who's been around since 1990. And now I want to sell this book to a publisher who wants to make $1 trillion and take care of this for me, because I don't want this. This baby needs to go to a home now that can really take this globally, because this book was ahead of its time. And it's still somewhere out there. But I don't know. Call me on that one too. You can reach me at SusanMintz.com, SMintz, SMINTZ, 7179 at AOL.com. They didn't have 69, I had to have 79. So I'm so sorry. My post office box was 106. What do you want from me? But
While Susan's signing those books for me, shout out to Silver Bowl Museum. I wanted to save the best for last. One of our other sponsors on the show. I got representing. Shout out to Dana. Gotta wear the shirt. Love the shirt. Very comfortable. You can get a shirt too if you go to Silver Bowl Museum, Delray Beach, Florida, Atlantic Avenue, just across the tracks, baby. I say it every time, just across the tracks. If you're at the Brews Room having a
great
couple
place.
pops, cross those tracks. It's right there. 2 stories, vintage arcades from the 1940s all the way to
yeah.
today. Pinball machines, video games, skee ball.
Lot of
They have
fun.
a bar upstairs, brand new bar. They serve food. They have beer. They have wine. Come on.
What's
Come on,
better
folks.
than that?
Come on.
We're
folks.
going there after this show.
You
Lot of
can
fun.
get shit-faced and play video games. I mean, you could really nerd out. So fucking nerd out, everybody.
Then you
Hit
can
'em
lick
up.
a toilet seat.
You could, if you want to lick a toilet seat, if you want to record your farts, if
Right.
you want to stand in front of the tracks and see if your girlfriend or your wife loves you and
Cares
pulls you away
about
from the
you.
train,
Whatever
you
you
can
want.
do it all at the Silver Ball Museum. Hit 'em up, everybody. Delray Beach, shout out.
Did you have any last questions about HIV to talk about? Because you gave me a bunch.
We're pretty good.
We're good?
I think we're good. I want to save a little mystery for our listeners that are interested to talk to you directly. So I'm glad you gave your contact
Yeah, my
information.
phone number's on there too.
I'm going to blast this out on social media. I want people to hear it. It's a very important subject.
Yeah, the website's very, very concise. I mean, it's not selling a lot of stuff, like my books are on there, but the interviews are phenomenal. They tell you every aspect of my life, interviewed by different people. It's very, very, very concise and precise.
And like I said, guys and girls, if this episode touched you in any way, or you know it will touch somebody, Susan's the person to reach out to. Watch this episode, tune in, talk to Susan, get in touch with her. She's the one to talk to for it. And please continue to like and follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, at A Guy Think Podcast, Twitter at A Guy Think Pod, the YouTube channel that you're watching us on right now, A Guy Think Podcast YouTube channel. The mailbag, you can hit us up at aguythinkpodcast@gmail.com. Give us a call, 856-441-6386. Website, again, change, upgrade, guythinkpodcast.com. Click subscribe. Give us 5 stars on Apple iTunes. It helps us grow the show. Next show this Monday, April 1st, with country singer all the way down from Tennessee, baby, Alex Butler.
Nice.
He's performing live this weekend at Tin Roof in Delray Beach, Florida. Going to be an amazing show. Check him out. Thank you, Chris, my cousin
You're
from
welcome.
Hemp Boca, for
Thank
coming
you.
out and
Thank you.
supporting the show and being here. HempBoca.com, check them out. CBD oil, anything you need for pain, discomfort, anything at all, you hit them up. They're the best in the game. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you, Susan.
Oh,
Thank you.
wonderful. Always wonderful.
Hey,
Let me just get us off live if you want to talk about anything that you don't want heard on live, folks.